that opinion say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Senator Ludlam on a separate matter.
On a separate matter. Thanks, Deputy President. Look, I rise to just add some comments and some thoughts on the extraordinary display by our—
So you're moving to take note of the answers of
Senator Brandis.
Thank you.
Thank
Senator
you,
Ludlam.
Deputy President. Always attention to detail. On another matter, the matter of the embarrassing and borderline hysterical display that was just put to this chamber by our Attorney-General, the highest law officer in the land, behaving like an infant. It's like having a debate with a 4-year-old, and I think we deserve better. This parliament deserves better. And the millions of people around this country and around the world who have legitimate and deep concerns about the surveillance activities of the US NSA and its partner agencies, including those of Australians, to be treated with the kind of display of contempt, and I use that word carefully, that was put on the record by the Attorney-General just now, is completely unacceptable. If the attorney's not up to the job, he should set it aside for somebody who is. It's the February 11th today, as I'm making this contribution, and around the world, more than 6,000 organisations, companies, civil society organisations, and groups like the Australian Greens, with user populations ranging from sub-niche to hundreds of millions, are blacked out, and this is a global internet blackout against government surveillance. It is good timing for us that it's the first day of Parliament, and that's why I'm pleased to be able to add a contribution here on behalf of the Australian Greens. The action was initiated by colleagues in the United States, not the usual suspects at all, but those in the technology industry, civil society organisations and groups like the ACLU, and people from right across the political spectrum in the United States. Republican Congressman Jim Sensenbrenner, one of the authors of the Patriot Act, when he read and understood, as somebody who understands the architecture of the US security estate better than most, when he understood what it was that the Snowden releases through the Guardian newspaper had revealed, he said this is well beyond what the Patriot Act allows. In other words, he's intimating that, in fact, the activities of these agencies is illegal. Lying to congressional committees is unlawful in the United States. And so the debate that's occurring in the US is actually very, very interesting. As the powers of national security agencies are brought into question and people actually have some truth to deal with and some facts on the table, the debate is fascinating about what the role of these agencies is against the backdrop of the US Constitution and the Bill of Rights and protections drafted by people who evidently had much greater understanding of the potential for tyranny that lies under unchecked government surveillance than our own Attorney-General obviously does. The debate that is unfolding in the United States is actually, I think, profound. And in exchange, what we get here in Australia is the kind of infantile display that was put on the record earlier by our Attorney-General. It's completely unacceptable. Senator Brandis accused Mr Snowden, Mr Edward Snowden, a whistleblower who I hold in extremely high regard, as do, I imagine, the majority of Australians and millions of people around the world, of a traitor. You can almost see the spittle flying from his lips. Nothing was justified in the statement or the accusation, in fact, that the revelations put into the public domain through The Guardian, the New York Times, the ABC, news organisations around the world doing their job, that Mr Snowden had risked Australians. No evidence at all. They said exactly the same thing about the WikiLeaks revelations, the State Department cables, the war logs that disclosed war crimes, the State Department cables that disclosed illegal activities by the United States State Department in the UN. No comment at all from the Liberal Party over those revelations. No comment at all over the fact that it appears these agencies have acted unlawfully in the United States and that a detailed set of reform proposals is now before President Obama. Instead, in Australia, complete silence, not simply silence, but the kind of contempt that we were shown by our Attorney-General this afternoon. Late last year, in fact in the closing days of the 2013 Parliament, the Greens were able to initiate an inquiry, a Senate inquiry to the Legal and Constitutional Affairs Ledge Committee into the surveillance regime that prevails in Australia. I acknowledge my Labor Party colleagues for supporting that reference, and also Senator Xenophon, who has made his own concerns on behalf of his constituents clear on these matters. This inquiry is the first and perhaps best opportunity we will have to shed some light on the kind of issues here that many of us in this parliament, reflecting the views in the broader community, believe are extremely important and urgent to address. and hoping that our present Attorney-General's tenure is as brief as possible so that somebody can come into that office with some respect to the positions that have been put that these things need to be urgently reformed and not to be treated with the kind of display that was put on the record earlier. Thank the Chamber.
The question is that the motion moved by Senator Ludlam be agreed to. Those of that opinion say aye. To the contrary, no. The ayes have it.